This week on the channel, we unbox the all-new Behringer wing rack. Hey everybody, my name is Adam. Welcome to the channel. My goal is to help you make good money playing music. If that sounds like something you would be into, please subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss anything. So unless you've been living under a rock, this announcement was a pretty big deal in the working musician world. Primarily because the Behringer wing rack is the heir apparent to the X32 rack throne, I guess you would say. And so after it got leaked and I made a video that kind of exploded on social media, I put an order in because frankly, my band could use one. And after patiently waiting for the pre-orders to go through, Sweetwater sent me this one about a week ago and it just arrived, like literally 15 minutes ago. So the intent here is to open it up, take a look at some of the features, and talk about what we're going to be doing with this next. So the first thing that jumped out to me about this is how big and heavy the box is. I may have underestimated the actual size of this thing. Shout out to Sweetwater again. Another sticker. Gotta get your candy, of course. And inside of this box is a slightly smaller box. And here it is. Okay, so it's out of the box. The next thing to do is to plug it in and see what we can do with it. Okay, so this is the all-new Behringer wing rack in all of its glory. I've had it for a couple of days and I've only messed with it a little, so this is gonna be a first impression review from the perspective of a band leader who owns their own production. At a glance, this is a 48 stereo channel digital mixer with 40 stereo input processing channels and 8 stereo aux channels. It also has 28 stereo buses, 16 stereo aux buses, 8 stereo matrices, and 4 stereo mains. The back panel has 24 Midas Pro mic preamps and 8 XLR outputs. Those outputs can also be routed through the 4 stereo headphone outputs below it. Other I/O include AES ports, Ethernet, USB, and Stage Connect, which is Behringer and Midas's newest digital interface. Not to mention the Wing Live card, which can record up to 64 channels of audio to 2 SD cards. This can be swapped out with other cards, and there's even an internal spot for a Dante card, which would give you an additional 64 channels of audio. On the front, you have this gorgeous 10.1-inch touchscreen display, as well as a bunch of soft buttons and customizable rotary encoders. All of this packed inside a 4 rack unit box. Okay, so who is this for? The wing rack is an ideal solution for bands who need a step up from the X32, both in regards to I/O and processing power. And I'll get to the I/O in a minute. But as far as effects go, this is a huge deal. You've got a standard effects rack with 8 stereo processors. Beyond that, you also get a premium effects rack with 8 additional stereo processors. Now, first off, the term standard is a bit of a misnomer because in that standard category, you have emulations of studio effects and channel strips from Aphex, API, TC Helicon, SSL, Neve, and Focusrite. Not to mention amp models of some of the most famous amps of all time. That includes SansAmp, Marshall, Angle, Roland, and Fender models that are totally workable and an amazing feature if you're in a pinch and need a backup at a gig. In fact, here's an example of what that Angle amp sounds like. Now, the premium tier is mostly delays and reverbs modeled from iconic gear like the Lexicon 480L and PCM 70, the Korg SDD3000, and the Roland Space Echo. So here's why I ended up picking one up for myself. So for the past 7 years, my band has run our entire show off an X32 rack and a giant 16-unit rolling rack. That includes front of house, in-ears, RF, and storage. Having all of that stuff in one unit is a great solution, but it is insanely heavy. As the person who owns the gear and carts the gear, the rack was the only component that was too heavy for me to lift by myself. So earlier this year, I decided I wanted to take our existing gear and break it up into 2 smaller rolling racks. But the biggest challenge of doing that was how to patch the 2 racks together. And for us, the best choice was Stage Connect. Midas, who's a part of the Behringer umbrella, released the Stage Connect interface series towards the end of 2023, offering a low-profile bus-powered option for line-level inputs and outputs that only require a single XLR-style cable to connect them. That means we can put all of our RF in one rack and then send the mic outputs and the in-ear inputs to the mixer rack using a single cable. On top of that, we just needed more I/O. This year, we added a keyboard player, and we're considering going back to multi-track playback, so having 8 additional inputs on the back was another big win. Plus, with all the additional connection options, we can add dedicated outs for everyone in the band to have stereo in-ear mixes. Not to mention dedicated outs for our sub-aux, front fills, and a center wedge for when we do live band karaoke. Oh yeah, did I mention the Wing has pitch correction built in? That was also a nice touch. So after mulling it over, I put myself on the pre-order list with my Sweetwater guy, and as we wind down our gigging year, we have a brand new rack setup with a lot of new toys to add to our live rig. Over the next few months, I'll be following up with our experience and how the build goes, and we'll keep you guys posted on what we think. As always, if you have any questions or if there are any specific features of the Wing you'd like me to dig into, please let me know in the comments. That's gonna do it for this week. Thanks again for tuning in. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We post new videos every single Friday. Also, it's the holiday season, and Patreon is now offering the ability to purchase Patreon memberships as gifts. So if you're a person who's hard to shop for, maybe send that link to somebody in your life so you can take advantage of all of the perks. Have an awesome week, and I'll see you next time.